Hi there. Have you ever wanted to publish your very own low or no content book, such as a notebook or a journal? Well then, you are in the right place. Hi, I'm Katja. I'm an artist, illustrator, and self-pattern designer, and I'm based in the UK. This class is aimed to anyone who is a beginner in the field of self-publishing and would like to learn how to publish books such as these ones and this one. So no previous experience is necessary in self-publishing. However, it would be good to have a base knowledge of Adobe Illustrator because that's the program we're going to use to make the cover of the book. And also InDesign, if you want to use that program for the interior of the book. And of course, you can use Microsoft Word if you prefer to use that. But don't worry if you don't have experience with Adobe Illustrator, for example, because I will walk you through the process step by step. So after exploring what are low or no content books and why it's a good idea to publish them, we're going to create the cover and the inside of the book. And then I'm going to show you how to upload everything on the KDP website. So by the end of this class, you'll have a knowledge of what is a low or no content book and why you should publish one. You will have learned how to use Adobe Illustrator to make the cover of the book and InDesign or Word to make the inside of the book. So you will know all the steps necessary from coming up with your idea, planning it, and then creating the book and then pricing it and uploading it on the KDP website. So you will have skills that you can actually apply to future projects as well, not just this one. You will see you will be ready to create your book in no time at all. So are you ready to start? Let's get started. So your class project, of course, will be to create and upload your very own low or no content book on Amazon. Make sure you share pictures of your book, even if you're work in progress, if you like, and a screenshot of your KDP bookshelf with your book in it, and of course of your Amazon author page once the book is published. Also, you can share a link to the Amazon author page. You can put everything in the class project. So I just can't wait to see what you create. Hello and welcome back. In this lesson, I'll explain what are low or no content books and why it's a good idea to publish one. Low or no content books are books with minimal or no text inside. This could be, for example, a journal or a notebook, a sketchbook, a planner, or a coloring book. The simplest one to produce is a lined or dotted notebook or journal, and I recommend starting with this one if this is your first book, so you can concentrate on learning the skills necessary to create and publish your book, and then you can make a more complicated book, like this one, for example. So why should I publish a low or no content book, I hear you ask? Well, although people nowadays seem to be using only electronic devices, many people still love to take notes and sketch with pen and paper. A low or no content book could be a great additional item to sell on a craft fair, for example, to branch out on your stream of income. Or you might know a teacher or be a teacher yourself that needs a specific workbook for a class they're teaching. You might have an idea for something that is not out there yet, like my botanical visual diary. Or you can use your artwork, for example an oil painting, as the cover of your notebook. So if people can't spend too much on a painting, they can buy your notebook and they can still go home with your beautiful artwork. And last but not least, it's fun to do. A little tip: once you've done the interior of your notebook or journal, you can use it with different covers so that it will appeal to different people. This way, once the first book is created, it will take you very little or no time to do the others. And now on to lesson 2. Hello and welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to do some planning. Before starting, it's important to do some planning. For example, what you want your book to look like, its purpose. Is it a journal, a notebook, a sketchbook? How is the inside? Is it dotted? Is it lined? There's a little tip for you. Don't leave any blank pages, because the software will not recognize it and it will ignore it. And you're going to end up with a very small book. So make an outline and plan the content. If it's a simple book, like the notebook we will do during these lessons, then you might not need to plan too much. But if it's a little bit more complicated or advanced, I strongly recommend to plan it carefully and maybe have some explanatory text on how to use the book, like I did here, for example, for my botanical visual diary. I advise you to have the text already written when you start to put together your book, so you can just add it where it's needed. For example, you need a description of your book for the Amazon page. It doesn't have to be a long description, but it's good to have one. If you want to add a short bio or a dedication, that also should be ready. You will also need to decide on the size and page number of the book, because this will affect the cover design. The spine thickness, for example, is affected by the number of pages. There's another tip for you. Once you've done the first couple of pages of the interior of the book, print it as a PDF at the actual size, and this will give you an idea of what the page looks like. The thickness of the lines, how big the dots are, the spacing, and this will save you a lot of time in the future, because you can spot what needs to be changed before you complete and publish your book. And then of course you need to open an account with Amazon if you don't have one already, but that's simple and quick to do, and it's free. Okay, we're ready to move on to the next lesson. Hello and welcome back. In the previous lesson we planned the book in general, but in this lesson we're going to talk about planning the interior and the cover. The cover template provided by Amazon can be opened with Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator, and it shows you where everything needs to be. For example, the spine thickness, the margins, and even the barcode. Of course, InDesign will give you more flexibility when designing a more complicated book, but for now Word is fine if you don't have InDesign, and I'll show you how to use both programs. There are two types of templates available: with bleed, when the design runs to the end of the page, and without bleed, where there is a white space around the margins. We don't need bleed for our notebook, and it might make things a bit more complicated, so we're not going to use it for now. The final document must be a high-quality PDF, and if adding decorative designs to your pages, like I did here, make sure the black lines are very solid, unless of course you're going for a particular look, as the way these books are printed, it's almost like they're making a copy, so the lines need to be nice and strong. And now let's start with the fun part. Let's go and make the book. Command P if you are on a Mac. And you have the picture here, or you just go into the folder where you saved it, and you can just double click, and you see there's a little picture attached to your mouse now. So what I normally do, I just go in the corner there and click and drag the mouse all the sides of my artboard. This fits perfectly because it was a square picture. If you have a rectangular picture, it won't be like this, it won't fit perfectly, but that really doesn't matter. So now what we need to do, so if you press the spacebar, you can have your little mouse becoming like a little hand, and you can just move your artboard around the screen. We're going to need image trace. So this one here, it might not be this window on this side. I have been using Illustrator, so I have all the little windows that I like using most frequently here. If it's not there, normally the windows are under window, and then you can just choose whatever you need here. For image trace, you have to go to Object and then image trace. And it might actually not open like this. It might be like this. So if you have this little tiny window, just click on the arrow there, the white arrow, and it will open it completely. So what we need to do is click on preview, and starting already doing something. We go to black and white logo because we only have black and white image. So we don't need any of the fancy colors, high fidelity photo, anything like that. Just click on black and white logo. And then we also need to ignore white, because this would ignore the white sort of piece of paper, let's say, that is underneath our drawings. So as you can see, some of these are already quite dark and fine, they can be traced. But here in the butterfly, the antenna are not showing. This leaf is pretty bad, and we have little sort of openings here on the hearts. To zoom in, I usually press the Alt key, or I believe it's Option key on a Mac, and just scroll with the mouse, and you can just scroll in and out. So you don't want these open lines if you want to recolor your motifs, because Illustrator will think, oh, this line is open. If I put color in here, we float the entire document. So I'm not going to do that. So I won't let you color it. But if we make this darker, to have these lines closed and darker, then everything else will become darker. So I can show you, to make these lines darker and more visible, you have to play with the threshold. So if you make it a bit darker, a bit higher, now we have these lines which are visible, the hearts are closed, but this has become really dark, this has become quite dark, the dahlia. So what we can do in this case is I'm going to put this back to about 128, I think it was, 27, it's fine. And I'm going to make a copy of this. So you can either place the picture again, like we did just now, or you can click and drag. And while you're dragging the image, you click on the Alt key, and you see your mouse becomes a double arrow, and then release the mouse and then release the Alt key, and you have a copy. And once you have vectorized your image, your motifs, you can use this technique with all the motifs just to duplicate them. So what I'm going to do now is concentrate on just one. You can see which one is selected because it's got the blue lines across. So this one, we can just use it as it is, and then we will ignore the leaf and the arts. So we have inner white. I'm just going to put black and white logo. If this is the first time, let's cancel that. If this is the first time you're using the image trace, it might give you, every time you try to trace an image, it might give you a little window saying something like, this image tracing might take a while, blah, blah, blah. I actually checked, do not show this again, because it gets a bit annoying when you do this quite often. So that's why you're not seeing it showing here. You might have that message. You can just click, don't show this again. It's fine. Okay, so let's put this to one side. And now we trace this image. And we make it darker. Maybe that's too dark. Let's see. So we can see our leaf there. And the hearts are closed. And we have the antennas here. So really we want the butterfly, the leaf, and these hearts from this image here. Now what we need to do, these are traced, but we need to expand them. And once you expand a picture, you commit to that picture. You can't change it unless you start again, basically. So click on this and expand, and click on this and expand. Let's get rid of that. All right, so they are expanded, but they are still grouped. So what we need to do now is to right click and ungroup. Okay, so now they are all by themselves. One more thing that we need to do is basically to check each motif and see if each motif is actually grouped. So if I click here and drag, you see this was not grouped with the rest of the leaf. To undo something, Control Z or Command Z. So if I click here, you see you leave everything behind. So what we need to do is to select it and group it. Be careful, because if you see here, this little heart has been selected as well. So it's a good idea when you do your drawings not to put too many things too close to each other. In this case, it's quite simple to get rid of this. You just press Shift and click, and this will deselect it. And now we press Ctrl G, and we have grouped this leaf. The butterfly, no, the butterfly needs to be grouped as well. So selected, Ctrl G, and the little hearts, oops, are fine. So this can be selected, bring out of the way, and now we can delete everything else that we don't need. Here we need to ungroup them as well. So click and ungroup, and we can delete this leaf and the hearts that are not close shapes. Okay, so now we have everything image traced, and we are ready to color them. Alright, so what we need to do now is to color the motifs. And to do that, you can go here in the swatches panel, and you can see these two squares here. One is for the fill, one is for the stroke. So the stroke is just the outline, and the fill, of course, is inside. And I have a few colors here, but what you can do, you can go this little icon here where it says Swatch Library menu. If you click there, you have different options for different colors. So, for example, if you go into art history, you choose Impressionism, for example, it gives you options of different colors. Or you can choose any other of these and just play around, see which one you like. There's nature, flowers, gives you this type of colors here. So I'm just going to use these ones. So if I click on this leaf, for example, and I have my fill selected, then I can just click on one of the colors and the leaf will become green. This one should work as well. It becomes green. The little heart, if you click here, is a solid color, so it will become just directly a solid color. If you want to fill the shape with color, you can select it, but if you just press one of these, it won't fill the inside of the petals. So to fill the inside, so like this, it will just color the outline. To fill the inside, you will need something called the paint bucket tool, and this you can find it here on this tools sort of panel. You see there is a little like triangular shape here. In this case, it means that there are other sort of tools hiding underneath. So if you click and press it, keep it clicked, this little sort of fly out menu will show, and you can see there are different things underneath there. There's the shape builder tool, so it will show you the last thing you have used, basically on top. Also, you can get the shape builder tool by pressing K on your keyboard, and it will become, your mouse will become this little bucket, and on top of it, if you can see, there are three squares. The center square is the one showing the color that is selected at the moment. So if we want to use a lighter color for the petals, you choose a lighter color. I'm gonna make it bigger so you can see. You go on the petal and you click inside the petal, and you will be able to color it that way. Okay, and then you can press V on your keyboard or go back to your black arrow here on the left, and you can see here that these have become different now. They have these little squares with the crosses, while if you press on another object, it's got the white squares and smaller. This means that you've used the paint bucket tool here, so you need to expand the object. So you go to Object, Expand, just say yes here, and now the squares are gone back to normal. So yeah, you can do this for all of your motifs, and then we will be ready to create the cover. Hey guys, welcome back. Right, so we have drawn the motifs, we have image traced them, we have colored them, so everything is ready to go. We just need to download the template. And the link to this page is in your resources, so just click on there and this page should open. So here we need to select an option for the sides of our cover, and we're going to create a 6 by 9 inches book. So we need this one here. Don't get this 6.14 because this is the one with the bleed. We don't need that. It's 6 by 9. And then page count, we're going to do a 100 pages book. Paper you can leave white, and let's download the cover. Just click OK, and then you can save this somewhere safe where you can easily find it. Okay, so when you open it, you will have two files. One is a PNG, one is a PDF, and I will explain later which one to use. Right, so let's head to Adobe Illustrator. Hey guys, here we are in Adobe Illustrator to make the cover. So in order to make the cover, we need to open the template. So we go to Open, and there are two options. You have I think it's a PNG file and a PDF file. I will be using the PDF because in the past I tried the PNG with Adobe Illustrator and it doesn't seem to be working quite right. When you go into the previewer in the KDP website, and you will see what I mean when we get there, there is a way to see or preview how your book will look like once you upload it. And the cover made with Adobe Illustrator and the PNG template didn't quite work. So I've been using the PDF one. So double click on that, just say OK. And now it asks you if you want to open it with CMYK or RGB. And you need to choose CMYK because for printing is much better, this mode. RGB is good if you want to show pictures online on a website. And actually it makes a difference with certain colors, the CMYK. And in fact, I can show you visually the difference, for example, with the blue color. And to do that, I need to go over to Photoshop for a moment. So here we are in Photoshop, and this is just a shape filled with blue color, just to show you visually what happens. So this is the RGB mode that you're seeing at the moment. But once you print this, it will be looking like this with the CMYK mode. So you don't want to have something like a brilliant sky on a picture look like the English sky on a winter day, for example. So be mindful of this and choose the CMYK mode when you want to print something. Alright, so here we are back in Illustrator, and here is our template. So this template will show you where everything goes. Make sure you don't put anything important in this sort of orangey area around the border of the book and the spine here, because this will be trimmed most likely. So the outside will be chopped off, and the inside is just some space to give it some sort of shifting, moving space. So don't put anything important in this area. And also don't put anything important where the barcode is, because when they print the cover, they will stamp the barcode there. And if you have put your logo, for example, there, well, it will be bye-bye logo, because it will be buried underneath the barcode. So put your logo, if you want to use one, somewhere else in the book. Don't put anything important in this area. Right, so what we want to do now is to create a new layer. And to do that, we need to go to the Layers panel. And if you can't see the Layers panel, you go into Windows and you go to Layers, and it will appear. To create a new layer, you go down to this little icon that looks like a little piece of paper, and click, and there you are. You have layer 2. You can rename this, or you can just leave it. We only have 2 layers, so it's not going to be a problem. If you are working with 10 or 30 or 50 layers, maybe it's a good idea to give them a name, because it can be quite confusing otherwise. You can see what's on a layer by just clicking on the eye, because it will make disappear what's on that layer when you click it off. So make sure you are on layer 2, and in order to lock the template so it doesn't move out of place, you can go, I'm not sure if you can see this on screen, but there's something like a little square, and it says toggles lock. If you click there, there's a little padlock that appears, and now your template is locked, so it won't be able to move. Right, so we are on layer 2, and we're going to put a rectangle on top of this template so that we can start building our book cover. The rectangle tool is on the tools panel, and just remember, if there is something else here like the ellipse tool or something, some other shape, just click and hold and you will see the list of the different shapes in here. So click on the rectangle tool and then go on the corner of your template, click and drag all the way down so you can make a rectangle on top of your template. Now, one tip I can give you here is to make absolutely sure that you are matching with your rectangle exactly the template. So you can zoom in just to double check that is matching perfectly. So we can actually get rid of the stroke. So because if it's even like 1 millimeter off, like this, can you see it's just slightly off? This could actually have your book cover rejected. So make sure that it matches perfectly. Have a look all around. So this one looks like it is matching. Okay. And now we want to add some color to this rectangle. So just select it and choose a color. Of course, make sure that you are on the fill color to fill your rectangle. And the next thing we need to do is to bring in the motifs that we have image traced and colored and hopefully saved in a previous lesson. So I have colored my motifs, I have duplicated some of them. What I'll do is I'll select all of them, Control C to copy them, go back to my book cover and Control V, and I can move them out of the way slightly. Okay, and what we like to do also is to lock this rectangle, because while you're working, you might just move it out the way by accident. So to lock it, you just select it and press Ctrl 2. And now it's locked, nothing is moving. And if you want to have a look at the layer underneath to see where those margins are, you can, I think, lower the opacity if it's not locked of your object. So let's see, unlock all. Okay, so when it's not locked, you can lower the opacity. Probably we can even lock it like this. Let's see, Control 2. Nope. Yes, okay, it's locked. And then you can just start arranging your motifs on your cover. And I think I will speed up this process because it might be very boring to just sit there and watch me try to arrange this nicely on the cover. A few things actually I want to tell you before I do that. So you just saw me turning around this leaf. If you want to change the position of any of the motifs, I'm not sure if you can see actually the mouse changing, but if you hover near the corner of your motif, the mouse will become a double-headed arrow. And then once it becomes like that, you just click the mouse, hold it, and then start moving it. And you can just move it around like this, change the orientation. If you want to duplicate a motif, all you need to do is to click your object, start moving it, and then you hold the Alt key or Option on a Mac, and then let go of the mouse first and the Alt after. And this will have duplicated your object. And one more thing, if you want to sort of reflect your object, you can press O on your keyboard and then click and drag, and the image will be reflected. Press V again, and then you have another sort of appearance to your leaf. Okay, I think this is all. And oh, one more thing, I do this all the time when I'm working, making patterns and things like that. I accidentally double click on a motif, on an object, and then everything is thinned out and it looks a bit scary. But don't worry, don't panic. It's just because you're entered in the isolation mode. And this is quite good if you want to just work with the single sort of petals and things in that particular motif. But to come out of the isolation mode, you just double click again somewhere else, and then it will come out, and it's all good. All right, so let's make this design. All right, I think we are pretty much done. So if we unlock, object unlock, and bring back the opacity to 100%, we have an idea of what the book will look like, the cover will look like. And what we need to do now, if you want, you can add the title on a sort of a small label. So I have put a file with some labels on your resources. So if you want, you can use those. You can just download it and use those labels. I'm going to open mine. So these are the labels, you can just pick one and use it. I think I'm going to use this one. So Control C, Control V. I'm just going to move it off the book. Turn it. You can resize your label. You can keep the proportions by holding the Shift key. But I quite like actually to make it a bit narrower. So do it like that. And to add the text, you just go into the type tool and then just drag a rectangle there. It will fill it with some rubbish text. Is nothing to worry about. It's just a placeholder that Illustrator puts there. As soon as you start typing, it will go. So what shall we call it? My notes and dreams. One thing I need to tell you, the title that you write here should match the title that you give the book when you upload it on Amazon. Because if it doesn't match, if you put a longer title on the Amazon KDP form when you upload your book, you might get the book rejected because the title doesn't match. So make sure you choose a title that you like to put on your cover, because that's the title you're going to have to use when you upload your book. Right, so if we go into the type menu here, we can make the title bigger. Let's try that, and we center it, and I'm going to give it a color. Yeah, green is fine. And then if you want, so I'm going to, oops. Go back to my selection tool. And you can select both of these objects and you can align them. So if you don't have the align window here, you can just go to Window and Align. And make sure you choose Align to Selection, because if you choose Align to Artboard, it will align it to the artboard here. So Align to Selection, and then align horizontal and vertical. And this aligns these two, although I think I'm going to put it a bit lower. Yes, I prefer it like that. And then you can also fill this shape. So you can choose, to choose a color to fill the shape, you have to go to the Live Paint bucket tool, like we did earlier, to color the motifs, which is also K on your keyboard. Choose a color. Okay. And then once you're done, you can go to Object, Expand, and OK. And if you want to change the outside, the stroke color, you can go into the stroke here and give it a color. Maybe you need to use the paint bucket tool for that as well. So expand it again, because we use the paint bucket tool again. Actually, I might like it a bit darker. So and oops, we can group these two shapes, if you select them both and do Ctrl G, they are now grouped and they move together. So we can put this in here, and of course we need to move these shapes from underneath. We could actually bring some of these on top of this label. To do that, you select the shape, right click and arrange bring to front, and it's actually a quite nice effect. And you can also do the same thing by Ctrl Shift right bracket or Shift right bracket. I'm not sure how this is going to look like. Let's see. That's not bad. And we can bring this to the front as well. And maybe we can put one of these and a little heart as well. So you can play with this as much as you like. Take your time, don't rush this process. It's quite nice to actually use your creativity and, you know, just do it slowly and make sure you really like the end look of it. And then when you're ready, I should have told you this before, but it's best thing to save while you're working quite a few times. So to save your file, you go to File and Save. It's a bit slow. Maybe because I had saved it already. So name, so cover. And at the moment we save it as an Illustrator file, and just save and just say OK here. And then when you have finished, when you are happy with how the cover looks, I keep fiddling with it, as you can see, because the more you look at it, the more you see things that you can change. What you need to do is, I will unlock this and make it disappear, just to make sure that it's not underneath, that can be seen underneath. And I think we can save it as a PDF. So we go into File, Save As, we go to the drop down Adobe PDF, and we can leave this name, that's fine. We're going to save. Now here, so since we have a CMYK file, we said that at the beginning, you can save it as a high quality print. If you add an RGB file, you should save it as a PDF X1A, because that way, if I press there and you go to output, it will allow CMYK. If you go into high quality print, there will be no conversion. But this is already a CMYK file, so we can save it. And that's it for the cover. So what we need to do next is prepare the interior of the book. So I will see you in the next lesson. Hey guys, welcome back. So now we need to download the template for the manuscript of the book. We need to do the inside of the book. So I put a link on your resources for this page, so just click on that link, it will take you here, and then if we scroll down, we can download a blank template or a template with some content, there's text to show you what your book will look like if you add a lot of text in it. We don't need that, so we're going to download the blank templates, and it will appear, so say OK. And then you can save the English templates, choose, save it on your folder for the class. Okay, and I saved it here in this folder where I have the other files. And when you open it, you can go to layout, and in this little arrow here on the side, and it will show you the page setup. So this is how it should be set up for it to be accepted when you upload it on the KDP. Alright, so let's go and make the inside. Hey guys, in this lesson we're going to do the inside of the book using Microsoft Word. So what you need to do is open the template file that you downloaded earlier, and then there will be just one page when you open it. So I've added here in the first page, this notebook belongs to. I always like to add that at the beginning. And if you want, you can add your details here, the copyright, and then your ISBN number, website if you have. Of course, you don't have to add all these details. You can just start with the lined pages. But I think it's nice to have something a little bit special. If you want, you can add a little picture of a drawing or something that you put on your cover, for example. One thing I would advise you to do is to leave the inside of your book black and white. So if you add some decorations or some pictures, just make sure that they will reproduce well in black and white, because if you use color and if you want to print the book in color, it would make your cost go up quite a bit, so you would have to sell it for a higher price. And there's no need really with a line journal to have color. For the ISBN number, don't do like me and save this as a PDF and then you forget to put the number here and then you have to go back, because this number you will get it from the KDP when you're actually uploading your book. So at the moment, do your manuscript and then save it as a normal Word file. Then once you have your ISBN from the KDP website, you go back, put your number here, and then save it as a PDF. Okay. So in order to do the lined notebook, all you need to do is basically go to Insert and Table, and Insert Table. And we need just one column, and we put, I don't know, 20 rows. We can change this. Okay, so here's the column, the table. And then if you want to change the sides of the lines, the spacing, you go to the layout and you can just increase it with this 1 centimeter, 0.9, I think 0.7 is quite a good size. This is why it's important to actually print a page of your book as a PDF and actual size before you commit to uploading it on Amazon, because that way you can see what it looks like when it's printed. And to add more rows, you can just click on the plus there on the side and you add it until you go to the bottom. Okay, and then what we can do is click on the cross there, go to borders, and you can just click on outside borders, and here's your lined page. Very simple. Another thing you can do, there's a little bonus tip. You can highlight some of the table, just part of it. You go to borders again, and you do outside borders again, and then you go to borders again, and the inside borders. And here you have a space to sketch, doodle, attach some pictures, depending what you want your notebook to be for. You can give your customers this space, doodles there or something. Okay, and then all you need to do is copy and paste this table on all the pages. Unfortunately, I haven't found a faster way to do this. So you just copy and paste for whatever amount of pages you want your book to be. And then all you need to do is save it as a PDF. So we go to File, Save As, and let's save it here, and we call it manuscript. And then here, instead of Word document, we choose PDF. And it's standard publishing and printing. Save. And that's it. Here's your PDF. So print one page, see if you like it, if you want the lines to be more spaced, if you want to change anything. At this point is when you should do it. All right, and that's all really. All you need to do now is upload it on the KDP website. Hey guys, welcome to this lesson. Here we're going to create the inside of the book, the manuscript, using Adobe InDesign. So we need to create a new document, so create new. And we go into the units and change it to inches. So in here I have created other books, so it gives me already 6 by 9. You can just type your numbers if it's not 6 by 9. Pages is 100, so you can add the pages afterwards if you want, but it's nice to start with the right number of pages. We want one column, we want facing pages. The gutter is 0.14, and I've taken these values from the Word template that we downloaded earlier. So even if you're using InDesign, it's good to have the Word template just to see what sort of values you need for the margins and the gutter. And these seem to be working for me as well. So the top margin and the bottom 1 inch, inside 0.375 and outside the same. And don't worry about the bleed and slag, we're not going to use the bleed. So we can click create. And here is our document. So in this panel here, the pages, it will show you the layout of your pages. I would advise you to use the preview horizontally, because it might be this way when you first open it, but it's a very long scroll down. So if you go to the little menu here and you go to view pages horizontally, it will be a bit shorter. All right, so the next thing we need to do is to create the lines for our journal. And to do that, I would advise you to do it in the master page, because that way it will just repeat it for the whole book, copying and pasting the lines for each page. So to go to the master page, you double click on one of the pages and make sure you are in the master page by looking down here. It says A master. So here we can create the line, and to do that we go to the line tool, and then we go on the, make it a bit bigger, we go on the corner there. Usually I start on the top margin. If you press shift while you're making the line, it will keep it nice and straight. We need to give it a color, so we go to the stroke and we color it black. And then if you want to make this line a dotted line, you can go in here and you have all the different types of lines. There is a dotted line. There's also Japanese dots. For some reason, the Japanese like the dots a bit closer. I'm not judging. So I'm just going to line, and if I zoom in a bit, you can see you have little dots. I find that 1 point for the line works well. Again, the best thing to do is do a page save it as a PDF and print it in the actual sides, and this will give you an idea of how the line looks. So what we need to do now is, with the line selected, we do Ctrl-Alt-U, and if we click preview, we will have a preview of what the lines will look like. And if we check create as a grid, it will keep the lines nice and straight. And if you want them a bit more spaced, you can increase the spacing here with the vertical. And I think, yeah, we can just click OK, check where they are. So this is not quite enough. Let's do that again. We do, I don't know, let's say 40. All right, we have a couple more. We can always delete this. All right. And we have our lines here. So what we can do now is just copy these, Ctrl-C, and paste them in the other page, Ctrl-V, and just put them in the right spot. All right, and now if you look at your page, the entire document, to go back to your normal page, you double click to your pages down here. Your entire document is lined with your dotted lines. One more thing, if you want your first page and second page to be blank, so you can put something like this book belongs to, put a little picture of your information here, for example, the ISBN, so you want the first two pages to be blank. What you can do is you go to the pages panel, little menu there, and click, and it will give another letter. Here, just click OK. Your B master is blank. So to have the first page blank, all you need to do is go to the B master, click and drag that page to your first page. And now your first page is blank. And do the same with the second page. Now your second page is blank. B master will appear in these pages as well. All right. So pages are lined. And here you can add, for example, a shape, say the ellipse, like that. And maybe we can add some text and say, this book belongs to. So in the text panel here, we can center it. We can make it a bit bigger. And also we can go to the line tool and put some lines underneath. So there's one, just give it a stroke color. Then we can duplicate it by clicking the Alt key while dragging down. Maybe we do another one. Okay, and one thing I haven't told you is, if you want to see what this book will look like when you print it, you can go into the preview mode, which is by clicking W on your keyboard, and then it will show you. Okay, so you have the book belongs to, you can add a little drawing there. I would advise you to keep the inside of the book black and white, because it would cost much less to produce, and then you don't have to charge too much to sell your book. So if you put a drawing there, you can just put a black and white drawing, and then yeah, that's it. If you want to add your ISBN number, just put a text box in there. So if I press W, you can see exactly what the margins are. So, and then here you can write your details, like I did here, for example. So you can put the copyright, ISBN number, your website if you have one. If you want to add the ISBN number, which is, by the way, it's not necessary for you to do this, you can just leave it blank or just put lines in it in this page as well. But if you want to add the ISBN number, it's best to save your file at the moment as it is. And then while you're uploading on the KDP website, it will give you the ISBN number then. So you copy that number, you paste it here in your document, and then, in fact, I can copy this for our new document here. So put 2020 here, and so copy that number there, paste it here, and then save it as a PDF. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to save it as a PDF now anyway, so since we are here, instead of coming back afterwards. So once you're happy with your book, you can go into File, Export, and choose Adobe PDF Print. Not interactive, that's another thing, print. And then you go to a folder, and we call it book, can't spell, book, manuscript, save it, and save it as a high quality print, and then export, and that saved your manuscript. Right, so if you want to add a page number, you can just go to your master document, double click on the A master, make sure you are there. So even down here, just make sure this is in the A master. Then you go to the type tool and you do a box here and you write, let's say, page. And then what you need to do is go to type. It should be, there you go, insert special character, markers, and current page number. And would you look at that shortcut? I don't know how they come up with this. You need 4 hands for that. Okay. And it will say page A, but don't panic, because page A is because we are in the A master. If we go in the document, you can see that we have page 4 here. Of course, we need to do this for the other page as well, otherwise we will have the page number only on the left pages. So to do that, we can just copy, Control C, and then Control V, paste this. It's a bit difficult to get hold of. And then just put this on the other side. So for this one, I will highlight the text and go to the type panel here and say align to the left. For the other one, I will go to the same panel and say align to the right. So when your pages start to be double digits, then we just push the writing from the right side or from the left side. Okay, so if we go to our document, we will have the pages there as well. And of course, you can change this if you go back to your master, the type of character. I think at the moment is 12. I think 10 points is a much better size. Oops. And we do that 10 points as well, because otherwise it would be a bit too big. And yes, that's how you add the pages. Okay, and then you can save your document as a PDF, like I showed you before. And I think now we are ready to upload your manuscript and your cover onto the KDP website. Hey guys, we're finally here on the KDP website to upload our manuscript. So you can sign in, create an account if you don't have one, and sign in. There is a link to that page in your resources, so you can just click on that link. And in here I have some books because I've already been publishing books, but you won't have anything there if it's your first book. What you want to do is click on paperback. And this is the first page of the form we need to fill in. So we need to leave the language as English, and the book title, I think it was My Notes and Dreams. And if you want, you can add a subtitle here. If your book is part of a series, you can put the series name and the number. I'm going to put my name here. Katia Galante. If there are other authors that have contributed to your book, you can add their names here in this section. And then you need to add a description of your book. As I mentioned before, when I did the introduction to the class, it's good to have your description already written. So when you get to this point, you would just go to your Word document, just copy it, and then you can paste it here. So you can, much simpler to do it this way. And then you can just say you own the copyright. Or with these books, I always write this in the description, because you can't really use them with watercolors. The paper is not that thick. It's not a bad type of paper, but you can use color pencil, pens, even I used ink pens like Micron, for example, and they're fine. But if you use felt tip markers, then they might bleed through. So it's best to tell the people that are buying the books that that might happen, just in case. Okay, so you own the copyright, and then keywords. So try to fill in all the keywords. So let's say we can put it's a journal, diary, and what else? Notebook, and journaling, maybe dreams, because that was in the title. I think we did put dreams in the title, yes. And we can add notes. Okay, so we need to choose a category, and it's a non-fiction, art, and there isn't a specific category for this type of books, so I just put art, general, and then crafts and hobby, general as well, and save that. And then this book doesn't have an adult content, so no, and save and continue. All right, and here we are with the ISBN that I was telling you about earlier on. So you can assign the ISBN. You can use your own, but I haven't done that yet. Highlight it and copy, Control C, and you go to your book. I've added a few little decorations. You can do that if you want. and then you double click and you add your SPN. And now we can save it as a PDF, as I showed you already. Okay, so publication date, I think we will just put today's date, that's fine. And then here you need to choose what type of paper you want for the interior, and if you want black and white or color. I always choose black and white because, as I mentioned before, it's cheaper to produce, and you don't really hide any images or pictures, anything like that. So black and white paper. I never use the cream paper. I'm not sure what that looks like. I prefer white paper. And then the trim size is 6x9 with enough bleed. And you can choose if you want a matte or glossy finish. I usually go for the glossy, unless you're doing some books that you want people to be able to write on the front of the book. In that case, I would advise you to use the matte one. But otherwise, glossy is fine. And now we can upload the manuscript. So we go into manuscript, and it's uploading. Okay, and now we can upload the cover. You can use the cover creator to create your cover. I don't tend to do that. I usually use this option here where I can upload my own file, and we can upload the cover that we did in the previous lesson. It takes a bit to upload your cover and your manuscript. I just shortened the time really to do that. And then what we need to do is to launch the previewer just to check that our book is actually looking the way it should. Now, when I launch this, it is going to take a while. Sometimes it takes as long as 20 minutes or half an hour. So I'm not going to just show you the 20 minutes here because it would be just crazy. So I will pause the recording now. So I will launch it. It will come up with some messages. It will even tell you to go and have a sandwich. So I will pause it here and then come back once this is all done. All right, so uploading is finished. I don't know how long yours lasted. Mine was about 20 minutes, I think. But here we are. So this is how your book looks like when it's going to be published. Here we have the barcode, as I was telling you. I've added my logo there on the back. And then if you click on the arrow here, you can see the inside. And then you can just check the pages, see if everything looks all right. If there are some errors, if these margins are not what they expected, not what they want, there will be some errors showing up on the left, and it will tell you to go and check what's wrong, and then you can correct it and upload again your manuscript. But yeah, there's usually no need to go through all of the pages. You can have a thumbnail view as well, just for a quick view. When you are happy that everything looks as it should, then you can approve your book. If you need to change something, you can exit the previewer and change it and then re-upload it. So we're going to approve it. All right, and now that we have approved it, it will tell us how much it will cost Amazon to produce. So you don't have to worry about doing anything about this, because this will be detracted automatically from the final price that you put. So we can save and continue. Okay, so in the next page, it asks you which territories you would like to publish your book. I just put all of them, all territories. And here you can put a price. So normally for a book like this, I would say, I don't know, $6.99. oops, it's not writing, so $6.99 or $7.99, something like that, and it will calculate automatically so how much it will cost to make the book. There are other expenses as well, and then your royalty is shown here. So if you put $7.99, it would be a bit more. And then if you click here, it will show you the other countries where your book will be published and the prices. You can change. At the moment, it just calculates all this according to the main price here, which is the dollar one. But you're free to change this if you want. And then terms and conditions, if you have time, or even if you don't, you should really read the terms and conditions. And you can request a printed proof of this book. And if it's your first book, maybe you want to do that just to make absolutely sure that your book looks like, well, like it should. In this book, when it arrives, it will have a writing on the front that says something like "not for sale." So the cover will be kind of ruined, but at least you spend very little for this copy. It's not even £1, I think, and you can have a look at the inside of the book as well and how it looks and everything. If you are relatively sure that you don't need that, you don't need to do that, you can publish your paperback book. Okay, and then it tells you that your paperback has been submitted, so it's going through a review, and you can do an ebook version of your book, but we don't really need to do that. So yes, it tells you that it takes up to 72 hours to do everything, all the review and everything. Sometimes it takes less than that, but sometimes it takes 72 hours. So, just be patient and wait, and then you will receive an email saying, congratulations, your book has been published. Once your book is published, you can actually order an author copy. For example, if I show you here, it says order author copies. So you can put your quantity here, which marketplace, so depending where you live, the States or England or Europe, and then you submit. You will be able to order an author copy, which won't have that writing across the cover, and it will cost you probably just less than a couple of pounds. So it's still a good price. If you want to resell these books at a craft fair, for example, you can still purchase them like this and then resell them. You still make a good profit out of it. Okay, so congratulations, my friend, you have published your book. Hey guys, congratulations on finishing class. You have now published your very own low or no content book. I am really proud of you. Please don't forget to share pictures of your books in the project section and a link to the Amazon page, because I really love to see what you have created. And if you like the class, can I leave a review? That would really help a lot. Also, if you want to be notified of new classes coming your way, just hit that follow button and you will know as soon as the class is published. Now all you have to do is just tell everyone, and I'm not talking about just your friends and family, but also share on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Pinterest even, and tell everyone about your beautiful book. And if your book is aimed to a specific group, let's say and book for, I don't know, organizing threads or works watches, you can look on Facebook. There are groups dedicated to sewing, and you can tell everyone on those groups. Just be careful before you do that to read the group's rules, because certain groups don't like you to advertise your own products, so don't get in trouble. You should also keep a copy of your book with you at all times, so when people see you using it, they will say, oh, that's a real beautiful notebook, and you can say, well, I made it actually. expert, of course. Good ways to get started with promoting your book. Questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I will try to answer. Okay, well done again on completing the class, and till next